When it comes to the gas prices, we're going through an incredible transition that is taking place that, God willing, when it's over, we'll be stronger and the world will be stronger and less reliant on fossil fuels when this is over.
President Biden's incredible transition comment on surging gas prices may not be sitting well with the nearly 40 million Americans traveling for the Memorial Day weekend. The national average price of gas sitting at $4.59 a gallon. And a new poll finds 95% of Americans say inflation is a concern. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm telling Americans the president is on top of it.
He's obsessed with the fact that gas prices are so high and people are hurting. And this is a global issue. So what can he do? So you can exhort the oil and gas industry to increase supply. I wish they would do it faster so that you can bring those prices down. And it tells us that that's why you have to, at the same time, accelerate our movement to clean energy. You can walk and chew gum. You can do both.
Okay, so let's start there. Judge, you're a little bit fired up today, so let's channel some of that energy. The secretary says oil and gas, they got to start producing more. They all say we would like to. You guys have so regulated us that we can't do it. I don't know where the truth is.
Wait a minute. She's the same one who said, but that I had a magic wand. Remember that one?
I do.
Okay, here's the bottom line. They're celebrating the fact that gas is so high. They think everybody's going to buy an electric car. They don't realize that we can't afford electric cars. Senior citizens will never be able to afford an electric car. So they're crushing the middle class. And as far as they're concerned, it's nothing for them to worry about because they've got the deals that, you know, China's now going to make the batteries. They got the lithium from Afghanistan, and we're going to get crushed. And that's all I have to say.
Well, I don't know where they think electricity comes from. Because,
good point.
I mean, you got to think about that. Greg, way back in 2008, before President Obama became President Obama.
In my early 20s.
Exactly, which may be a haze, so maybe you don't remember this. It may be a little fuzzy for you there. But he said as a candidate that he said, yeah, you can build a coal-fired power plant if you want to, but my policies are going to make you go bankrupt. And remember, he also said electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket under my plans. So we should not be surprised. This is nothing new.
This is let them eat cake repositioned as some kind of altruistic sacrifice. You know, sure, you're going to lose your savings and you're not going to be able to go on vacations. But in this great transition, think of your contribution to this great leap forward. Of course, none of them participate in the sacrifice because they don't have to. And I love how Joe minimizes our gas pain. You know, what if we did that to him? And at his age, he has a lot of gas pain.
I was waiting.
And how stupid... How stupid do you have to be to believe you could cut a population off from a primary energy source without having a viable, consistent energy source? You can't say that about solar. You can't say that about windmills because they aren't consistent. None of us, by the way, I don't think any of us are against alternative energy, especially when it's nuclear. But this is nuts.
They're not down with that.
What?
They're not down with that.
The Democrats, they're starting to, they realize that nuclear is the only alternative energy that's going to work. And it took them 40 years of demeaning this industry and trying to close down, all these facilities. I think now they're reopening the one in California. Gavin Newsom is reopening one. I mean, that's a sea change. Big deal. I credit Michael Schellenberger on that. He's the guy that's been pushing this.
He has. Okay, so Greg says let them eat cake. Well, that's
no, I said they said that.
They're saying that.
Are you even listening to me, Shannon?
I hang on your every syllable, Greg. Every day it is my life. But I'm not sure people can afford cake. That's the problem because, okay, here's a look at what it's going to be for your picnic this year or your cookout if you're having one this holiday weekend. Beef up 14.7%, hot dogs up 7%, pie, it doesn't say cake, but pie is up more than 13%, beer is up 5%. Joey, it's going to be an expensive cookout this year.
It is going to be an expensive cookout. Number one, if I have cake, I will eat it too. So I don't want to hear anything about that.
What's the point of having cake?
That is the worst expression in the world. Not to just completely derail this, but I felt like after the last segment we might need some derailing. Listen, one thing I hate about this is not about how you get to the movie theater or even how you get to work. For millions of Americans, this is how you work. For people that drive a truck for a living, for people that own a lawn maintenance, right? Gas goes into everything on that trailer they're going to use on your lawn and make 20 bucks today. This is not just about convenience. It is about livelihood. And when you sit there and you say, well, we really wish they would produce more, you ran on a campaign of bankrupting oil and gas, taking investment away from them, and now you pretend that's not a factor in this. I don't care how many leases they have. A lease is only as good as the oil underneath the ground. And when this administration took office, there was a run on land leases because for small oil companies, that's the only collateral you have to get investment. So you go out and lease 1,000 leases. If 10 of them produce oil, you're good. It's those leases that are your collateral to get Joe Billionaire to invest in you. And guess what? Joe Billionaire is not going to invest in you if there's not an atmosphere of return on investment. So that's a problem. But even beyond all that, you go back to nuclear, the cleanest energy that exists. 3 Mile Island was a long time ago. As a matter of fact, that technology is not what we do anymore. We have micro reactors. We have residential reactors. We have plans for reactors to power a neighborhood. And you know who finally got the United States government to open up its material and facilities for people who have designed these? The Republicans did, which I appreciate that. I'm not blaming Democrats. I'm just saying I know the person that helped write that piece of legislation and get it passed. That's what we need to speed up. That's what we need to make happen. One of the big actors here is the defense industry. The defense industry lobbies every day for nuclear technology to stay out of the civilian sector for security reasons. So you got to hit all the players that make this worse. Nuclear is the way to go. I fully support nuclear myself.
Well,
you are nuclear.
I am. In the very best possible way.
I'm hoping to radiate my legs back is the point. Like, if I can get just enough gamma going, have some little, and no, I like it, they grow back as little fins or something.
We're cheering for you in that respect. Okay, so in the meantime, while we wait for all these things, Harold, to come to fruition, J.P. Morgan is among those saying, brace yourself for $6 a gallon, national average, not just California. We're talking about Paducah, Kentucky, and everywhere else in between by the end of summer, by August. And we've got 56% of people in a Harvard-Harris poll this month say their financial situation is getting steadily worse, and that's the highest number that poll has ever measured.
Look, I don't disagree with any of the remedies that have been outlined at the table. I think Democrats and Republicans alike, Joy, probably share a lot of blame. When I was in Congress, Republicans were as afraid of 3 Mile Island as Democrats were. There was resistance to the storage of nuclear. Now, I happen to think we have to build nuclear, we have to build batteries, we have to innovate, we have to drill, we have to frack. What the war has shown us is the vulnerability and how we are squeezed by a person whose country we thought was largely irrelevant in a global economic conversation. They have proven now to insert themselves in the conversation in a way that forces us all to reset how we think, not only about the moment, but the future. I think in terms of the moment, it was reported last week, and we talked on the show, that Chevron was in conversation with Venezuela. And there are Democrats and Republicans who were upset about that, who said, how could you dare do that? Now, if we are serious about trying to alleviate consumers and lower those prices from $6 to $5 to $4 to $3.50 to $2.50, then we're going to have to make some uncomfortable choices. If everyone wants to be holier than thou, then prices will go up to $6 in the immediate frame. Now, I'm not one. My orientation to politics is not to blame, because we can do that, and there are people who do it, and that's a fine job. I want to figure out how we get going at the moment and how we prepare, how we ensure that 5 years from now or even 2 years from now, we don't face this challenge. We're littered with mistakes from the past. I make mistakes. My colleagues make mistakes. But what do we do going forward? Nuclear, fracking, drilling, batteries, and innovating how to make cleaner products, including plastics, are part of that. But in the short term, we got to get our prices low, and we got to import from places we may not like.
Hopefully, for 5 years from now, it does not involve going to crazy dictators to get gas from them.
I would
agree.
agree.
Can I say one thing?
Well, you can, but they're going to scream in my ear.
No, but that's okay. They scream in my ear all the time. Do you know how big an electric battery is when you get rid of an electric car? I know somebody who was in cars. They say it's as big as the bottom of the car.
Yeah.
When you get rid of the car, what are we doing with those batteries? Okay, go.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.